Welcome to the Scrum Feed, where Paul Dalligan and I take apart the NRL and look at what's happened in the last week. The pressure valve has claimed another victim. Shane Flanagan couldn't survive 11 straight losses. Payne Haas injury spells problems for both the Broncos and the New South Wales Blues. And the pressure valve, who's next in line to lose their job? Paul, been a very big week in the NRL.
And it has been almost an air of inevitability regarding Flanagan at the Dragons. You just can't keep losing in this code. He didn't have the success. He'd lost the fans. There's rumours he'd lost the players. The media had turned on him, and a large part of it, very sadly for him, and we're all about loyalty on this show, but we're not NRL coaches, Professor. He kept picking his son, and his son just wasn't up to it. And that's not just my opinion. That's most people. So it's a very tough situation he was in. I, as a father myself, greatly respect that he was picking his son and looking after his son, but it came at the cost of, look at all the halves who left that club. I mean, it's a long list, and he had, this is, I'll say this very carefully, but the rumours are that he was not open to other halfback opportunities because it was blocking his son's path to that number 7 Red V jersey. So, I mean, he complained about Ben Hunt before he left. Now, look what he did at the Broncos. He was a big part of them winning the comp. So everything's easier in hindsight, but he hasn't got the players, the good players wanting out, and even rumours about players who've signed with the Dragons reconsidering. So they had to make a move. They handle it terribly, as the Dragons are doing things lately. They blamed the media, guy that came in front of the camera. So you know what that means when someone wants to blame the media. They're reporting on a team that's lost 11 in a row. I don't think that's a crime, and it's probably something this media should be doing. So it's just been very, very bad all round for that very proud club.
The second coach to be axed this year, Paul. Never good when the club chairman wants to have breakfast with you the Sunday morning after a Saturday loss.
No, well, that's it. You sort of want to stay out of the boss's way if you can. In most professions, it's positive news. But in that situation, it was well known on the Sunday that he was gone, yet the players arrived on the Monday not knowing, apparently. So who knows what's going on there. But it was handled terribly. And also in breaking news, Michael Ennis has been let go by the new coach, Dean Young. There was apparently a battle between Ennis and Young as to who would be the interim coach. Another issue at the Dragons, they've got these the George and Illawarra factions, and both wanting a different candidate to be the interim coach. They couldn't even agree on the interim coach, let alone the full-time coach. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but they've got a long way to go to get that respectability back.
Unlike the Sea Eagles, Paul, where they had a definite path forward and were unanimous about appointing Kieran Foran as interim coach, plans were that poorly organised that Tuesday training had to be cancelled because the interim coach hadn't been announced.
No, well, there was a push by one side for Michael Ennis and the other side for Dean Young. They've got Ben Hornby in the wings as a possible future coach. He's been great at the Rabbitohs, but that's comedy capers stuff. That is not having training because they're not sure who's there. You'd think that they would have sorted that out before they got the knife out for Flanagan, but they obviously didn't.
Poorly run club, in my opinion, Paul. The other thing is, you're right about Kyle Flanagan. He's been dropped for this weekend.
Well, he has. That's one of the first things that Dean Young has done. They've got a gun there, Kane Reid, who's going to be a number 7 for 10 years. The way the Dragons going, you wouldn't bet on him being at the Dragons for 10 years, but apparently he's a gun. So we will see. It's hard on these young ones when they come in. They're often not built for it, and he'll have a lot of pressure put on him, but he's going to find out about the NRL very soon, just in a few days' time.
Payne Haas injury, Paul. Problems for both the Broncos and the New South Wales Blues. A grade 3 MCL tear. He'll be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks, which takes him out of Origin 1 and maybe even Origin 2.
Well, the one we're going to at the MCG, so there's a few players lining up, but he is the best player in the game, or the best forward in the game, definitely. So it's going to be a big loss for both the Broncos and also the Blues. The only positive, it might open the door for someone like a Jackson Ford, perhaps, who's absolutely killing it at the Warriors. So, or Adam Fanua-Blake could get in from the Sharks. He'll be there through those changes to the eligibility rules. So that would be great to see him there as well. But you can't replace Michael Jordan on a basketball court, and you can't replace Payne Haas that easily.
The pressure valve, Paul. Who's next in line? The North Queensland Cowboys, Todd Payton. Might he be under a bit of pressure given the lacklustre performance against the Sea Eagles?
Well, I wouldn't think so after managing these 4 or 5 wins in a row. I think they have. They're 4 wins in a row, the Cowboys. So I don't think he'll go. I think that we're pretty stable till the rest of the year. I don't say that lightly. I think that'll be it for coaches gone this year unless someone does something out of the ordinary.
It wasn't part of the Giraffe Guarantee, Paul, but I went back and had a look through the season's preview. You did correctly select Seabold to be the first coach to be axed.
Yes, and I'm not sure if I put Flanagan in second or the Cowboys coach, but all 3 of those teams that were certainly looking a bit shaky. But Kieran Foran's done an amazing job at Manly, and it looks like without jumping the gun, they're going to have another win this week.
Well, that's a great segue, Paul, to a review of the last round. Sea Eagles 38 defeated the Cowboys 8, just about all over at half-time, 22-6. Cowboys only had a 58% completion rate and were outgained 300 metres. Those figures don't generally see you winning a game.
No, and I put the hand up. I got the guarantee wrong. I just presumed that they'd be too good at home, but it's been such a topsy-turvy season, and there's a little Manly segue there for Jeff Tooby, the Turby nickname, but it's been a very topsy-turvy season, and Manly, I just couldn't see that coming, neither could most people, so that was one we all got wrong, except for the Manly diehards. They really are a big team, and they've clicked, but unfortunately they've lost Turbo for a while now, and he's a big part of their success.
Kieran Foran 3-0. Nobody could have really predicted that. And Jamal Fogarty improving, Paul.
Well, he is. He would have got 100 to 1 on a coach coming in on Manly winning 3 in a row, no matter who it was. So Craig Bellamy, Wayne Bennett couldn't have done a better job than what he's doing. So it's a massive turnaround, and no doubt the Dragons are hoping for similar, but I can't see it happening for the Dragons. There's too many problems there.
Well, you're feeding my lines to me, Paul. You just mentioned Craig Bellamy. He wouldn't be happy with the Storm going down 22 to the Raiders 26. They were in front at half-time. They've been in front in most games at half-time. Haven't been able to put a decent second half together. 4 tries apiece, separated only by penalty goals. Their completion rate, though, 67%, Paul.
Yeah, and if you watch Bellamy, which I do, he's not as angry as he used to be, but I think that's not because he sees that the fury used to be players not trying or getting things wrong or errors. I think that Bellamy is aware there's systemic issues there with the lack of resources and players. I don't know if they've got the team that can win the comp. So you can't get angry at people if they're trying their best, but that wasn't a great game for them. But they look genuinely nervous at halftime, especially some of the assistant coaches as well. That Storm system, I think they know there's some real issues on board, and I don't think they'll win against the Rabbits this weekend. Bellamy's never lost 6 in a row, Professor, so we'll see what happens this weekend. The Rabbits have also never won in Melbourne. Trust me, I know that only too well, having lived here for 20 years. I've never seen my team win here in 20 years. So.
A hot time in Darwin on Friday night last week, Paul. It was a great game, separated by Nathan Cleary's cool golden point field goal. Big second half from the Dolphins, 4 tries, but they've lost another one.
They have, and they were very competitive, and I haven't written them off for the year yet. They've had a disappointing start to the year, but that was a great game for those in Darwin, and it was good to see that we're taking the game up there. Nathan Cleary, ice cold. It was a mongrel-looking kick, but if you saw it, Professor, it was a shocker, but it got over, and that's all that counts. As they say in golf, you don't have to write down how you got there.
Quite right, Paul. Thomas Jenkins, another 2 tries. He's got 16. Who can believe it?
I think it's a record. It is a record. No player's ever done that before. He'll be a smoky for the New South Wales team, or not even a smoky. He'd be pretty much writing his name on the sheet the way he's playing.
He'd only played 11 games up until the end of the 2024 season, Paul, with 2 teams. Started off with the Panthers for 2 seasons, then the Knights. Didn't set the world on fire. Is he another Shibasaki?
Well, they say you can do everything in Penrith at Penrith Leagues Club, so they can also do resurrections. So he's come back from the dead, but obscurity, not the dead, but obscurity, and he could end up a millionaire at Papua New Guinea, and that's before tax.
Very good, Paul. 4 tries from the Warriors hyphens, including another one from Watine Zalesniak, the Titans' second last, but an improved performance by them.
Yeah, they're not too bad a team, and that's why I kept Josh Hannay out. The Titans are rebuilding. They've got the new ownership there, of course, with Matty Johns, Gordon Tallis, part of the ownership. They've got some talent there, that Titans. They're rebuilding, but the Warriors just too classy and too strong at home.
Your Rabbitohs, Paul, put the Dragons to the sword, 30-12, 4 tries to Latrell. He outscored the Dragons 2012.
He did, almost as good as your Dragon to the Sword there. Very nicely done, Professor. I liked it. But yeah, he was exceptional, Latrell, and you don't get much better than that. The one-man performance, and I think the debate over whether he should be at fullback or in the centres has been resolved in favour of him playing exactly where he does his best, which is at the centres.
And Matt Duffy scoring a try on return.
Not only that, he ran for 300 metres, which is some sort of record, I think, for the year perhaps, but it's a record for him. So not only is he playing well, he's playing better than he ever has. So it's great for Wayne Bennett to have options. And the fact that he's pulled him out of the UK Super League, had a train and trial deal, and he's now probably looking like a gun recruit for another team if the Rabbitohs can't keep him in the squad.
Certainly lived up to the match of the round, Paul. The Broncos getting home by 1 point over the West Tigers at Campbelltown. Adam Reynolds back in the Maroons certainly helped.
It did, and it's a casualty of enormous proportions. We'll get to it soon for this week's game. But the Broncos are ravaged by injuries, but yet they showed the tenacity and the perseverance to find someone to get it done. And Reynolds was that man at the Tigers, who were heavily favoured to win it, including me. I had them winning the Tigers. So that was a tough loss for them. And Benji didn't look too happy afterwards.
The Knights, when I tuned in just after half-time, Paul, were cruising at 24-12, and then the Roosters turned the power on. Unbelievable second half from them. 5 second-half tries.
It was annoying Nitawase. I think I got that right. He's at the forefront, I'd say, of State of Origin selection talk. He was amazing, as was Tedesco. Both of those players are going to be in the running. Roosters are going to go very close to the grand final, as we predicted on this show pre-season. Sam Walker's starting to click with Cherry Evans. Interestingly, Cherry Evans has ruled himself out of State of Origins. That is to focus on the Roosters campaign, which is a very strong one. The Knights just missing too much of their class players to finish it off.
The schizophrenic Bulldogs, Paul, weren't the same team that beat the undefeated Panthers. I think they're only fooling themselves. Unless they get this schizophrenia out of their heads, they won't end up a top 8 team, that's for sure.
Keep that away from your kids, the schizophrenic Bulldog. You don't want that with the little ones. But, yeah, they're certainly proving to be very erratic. Smash the Panthers, then they lose to the Eels. I mean, if you can work it out, you let me know, Professor. It's your team. I have no idea what's going on there. But I'll jump into next week, and I think that they're going to bounce back, but we'll see.
All right, let's look at round 8, Paul. Thursday night game, the West Tigers playing in Leichhardt. Another home game against the Raiders, who are improving. Hudson Young and Josh Papali, 2 big outs for the Raiders.
Well, I was about to say that you're going to need your bulk, your heavy hitters to win. That's why I think the Tigers will win this one. Interestingly, they've dropped Makasini, who was tipped to be Rookie of the Year. He had a bad week last week. I like that move on several fronts. One, not that he was getting ahead of himself, but it shows that they mean business. Often these teams that overachieve, I'm not saying that's them, but they'll stick with the players rather than making the tough changes needed. So I like the ruthlessness from Benji. He wants to win, and I think they will Thursday night.
First game on Friday night, Paul. Cowboys 11th against the Sharks 7th. Can the Sharks bounce back onto the winning list, or will the Cowboys improve from last week's form?
I've actually got the Cowboys winning this as outsiders. Sharks are off a bye, and they lost to the Roosters before that. The Cowboys won 4 straight before that but lost last week. I think they'll be very hungry to attain for that. I've got the Cowboys winning as outsiders.
Dare I say it, the Broncos asked for the game to be played at the Royal Brisbane Hospital. They've got that many out, Paul. They've got not only Payne Haas, who we talked about earlier, but also Corey Jensen, Katoni Staggs and Jesse Arthurs. They're in the team, but looking at what their injuries are, they might not play. Ben Hunt, Reece Walsh, Pat Carrigan, Blake Moser, Billy Walters. My goodness, how many players from your first team can you actually have injured and still be competitive?
Ben Hunt, Katoni Staggs. It's more men down than Saving Private Ryan. I think Maguire's even run out of F-bombs. But he just has to have a wry smile about it all, because you've just got to front up and see how you go. But I've got the Dogs as my guarantee this week with Crichton back, and I love the tenacity of the Broncos, but I just think the Dogs are going to have too much class against a third-string Broncos team, which is what it is. They were very brave last week, the Broncos, but the Dogs are just going to bounce back for mine and show their class.
Super Saturday, Paul, the first game, the newly coached Dragons against the Roosters. I can't see the Roosters dropping this one after their form last week, even with the Dragons having a new coach in Dean Young.
Yeah, the Dragons, there's certainly not too much talk about the new coach theory. would stun everyone if they could beat the Roosters in the form they're in. They're also missing one of their best forwards, Jaden Sewer, after a very nasty hit last week on Cameron Murray. So I can't see anything but the Roosters winning this one.
Middle game on Saturday, the second-place Warriors against the 12th-place Dolphins being played in Wellington. The Dolphins lose this one, Paul. It's almost get out the red pen. They've won 2 of 6.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think the Warriors will be too strong at Wellington. They only play in one game a year there, and it'll be a full house, as are most of their games. The Warriors, I think the home support will get them home. Nicorima's out for the Dolphins, which is a big out. I wouldn't share your concern with the red pen just yet. I wouldn't even reach for the pink pencil yet, but I think the Dolphins will make a run to the finals. But I've got the Warriors winning this one.
The other thing, Paul, is that the Dolphins played in Darwin last weekend and then a second long road trip to Wellington this weekend. That should take some mileage out of the legs.
It would. Travelled more than Flipper, I think, the Dolphins. It's a tough run to get that far. That's a long trek from, I don't know if they went direct, even via Brisbane for a couple of days to recover. It's a lot of travelling they've been doing, and I think more that the heat of that clash and how tough it was. So I think the Warriors specials.
The Saturday night cap, Paul, the Storm 15th in an area that they're not used to being in against the Rabbitohs, who are 4th. A trip to Amy not as terrifying as it was last year.
No, and as I was saying earlier, the Rabbits haven't won in 20 years, but I've got them winning this week. As outsiders, I think that they're playing some good football. They've got a great squad. Latrell Mitchell's on fire. There's just some issues at the Storm there. Up against it, though, Bellamy's never lost 5 in a row, but I've got the Rabbits winning as outsiders, and that's not just the heart talking.
First game on Sunday, the Knights take on the Panthers. How much did Darwin take out of the Panthers, and will the Knights be able to take advantage of it at home?
No, I think that the Panthers will win this. The Knights are missing Ponga, Frizzell, Bradman Best, Dylan Lucas, 4 of their best 10 players. I just can't see them beating the Panthers as much as I'd like to see it. Just for the game's sake, the Panthers should be too strong.
And the final game for the round, Paul, the Sea Eagles at Fortress Brookvale, who are 6th, taking on the Eels 9th. Tommy Turbo, as you said before, is out, but the Sea Eagles are red hot, 3-0 in the Kieran Foran reign. Schooner's already booked his seat on the couch, and I think he was warming up the TV as I was talking to him.
Yeah, well, I think if they didn't have such a good replacement at fullback, they might be in danger of dropping this game. But Kohler at fullback will be fantastic, and they're playing some great football. As you said earlier, Fogarty's playing well. I like Mitchell Moses is possibly the best player in the game this year in terms of the importance he brings to his team. But I just think Manly at home on a Sunday afternoon, it takes you back, Professor, many years. So it's a long time since Manly has been rocking like it will be on Sunday afternoon. That should get them home.
Not often you change coach and go to a 4-0 win-loss ratio, Paul.
I wouldn't think that's happened too many codes in the world, let alone rugby league where it's so competitive. So he's doing the simple things right. Kieran Foran, he's always struck me as well-spoken, and clearly he's got the concepts and working with the players. Let's see if it rubs off on the Dragons, but I can't see it happening, unfortunately, for our Dragons fans, Professor.
Any giraffe guarantee for this week, Paul?
Yeah, I called it on the Dogs, I think, for this week. Get your bill out. But can we do a guarantee with a small G? It's not exactly get your super out, but I just think the Broncos, with all those players out, I've got the Dogs winning this one.
All right, Paul, that's all from the Scrum feed for this week. Let's talk rugby league again next week.
Good stuff.
Responsible gambling is paramount. For support, contact the Gambling Help online at 1800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.